So yeah, this is the session that we usually have at each UDS, which is basically a session in which we sometimes get work items, sometimes we just discuss things, and it's basically to talk about a kind of roundtable for us to discuss things about translations and things that you think work, things that you'd like to be improved next cycle, and things that you think that, or even if you want to highlight new things. So that's about the idea. So feel free to bring up any subject about translations or about anything to relate to translation. I mean, do you guys? I mean, I know some of you guys, some of others I don't. But do you all do translations or have done translations at some point? Yeah. Have you done any translations at some point? Yeah. Sorry. Have you done translations as well in Launchpad as part of a translation team?
Do you work?
Japanese translators team.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we don't usually get representation of Japanese translations at UDS.
Maybe for the first time.
All right, cool. And how are you finding it, doing translations?
See?
How do you find translations in Launchpad or working with translations team? What's your experience in being part of a translation team?
So far so good.
Yeah? That's good to know.
I think no problem.
Yeah. So is there any particular topic that you guys would like to discuss? Anything that you think is working well or it's not working that well? Something that we could improve?
Well, I have, if no one say anything. Our main translation contributor in Brazil has passed away last year, and we are finding it really hard because he did all the work, coordinating people and everything. So I would like to know basic things like at which point of the cycle should I act? When translation open, how do I need to encourage people to translate at which point of the cycle? And these basic things, you know,
right.
so I can get the community going again.
Cool. Yeah. So in terms of the part of the cycle when translations start, we try to open translations as soon as possible in Launchpad. So generally after the first alpha, we open translations and we roll out the first language packs. And at that point, there's an announcement on Ubuntu Planet and on the mailing list. So I think one basic thing for a translations coordinator is basically to get subscribed to the Ubuntu Translators mailing list and making sure that you follow all the announcements. In terms of when the best point in the release to encourage people to do translations, basically any point after translations have been opened, but that also depends on how you work with upstream teams, because some teams do lots of translations upstream and they wait until the translations have been done upstream, and then at that point then they start doing translations in Launchpad. So it all depends how Brazilian translators work with upstream. If you do most of the work in Launchpad, then it doesn't matter. You do have to coordinate to send translations back upstream.
Okay.
But yeah, so.
But okay, sorry. The testing part. I mean, when do we have translation packages? It's like pure, constantly updated.
Yeah, that's
just like
question.
any other package.
During the development cycle, we have language pack updates every 2 weeks. Well, actually, it's every week. Every week, yeah.
Okay.
So translations can be tested like nearly straight away. Okay. So what you do in Launchpad, you can see very early after you've done it. So.
I'm sorry. If you're taking in notes, do it in a collaborative path so everyone see it and it can be posted on the internet. You take three logs.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have the link to the URL to? Yeah. So if you've got any notes already, you can just dump them in there.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Well, the reason I'm asking all these questions is because we already have in place a script that pulls everything that needs to be translated from Launchpad, and we have our wiki page, and people just go to the wiki page and click on the items that need translation. And we, in the reviewing side, we have a page, a wiki page, where reviewers can look what needs to be reviewed.
Yeah.
And this part is working. The problem is making it public, talking to people, and knowing the right time
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking more of the parts of the cycle and things happen.
Yeah, yeah, and it does make sense to ask this question because this is also interesting for the teams. I think the particular dates are already on the release schedule, so that can be used like as a guideline on when to encourage people to translate. So, as I say, after the point translations have been opened, people can do translations. The time when there's usually more activity is after string freeze, and that happens late in the cycle. I don't know if it's 6 weeks before the cycle or something like that. Sorry, 6 weeks before release.
Okay.
So that's string freeze. So after string freeze, we have the guarantee that no strings will be changed. So what you do, the work that you do,
More or less.
yeah. Right, in theory.
More or less.
There's sometimes like string freeze breaks in which developers add new translations or fix translations or whatever. But generally, the important deadline to know is, sorry, the important milestone to know is string freeze.
Okay,
After
so
that
then
is.
we have to get everything done before that.
No. What I mean is after when, so there's here, translations are opened at this point. At this point there's string freeze, and during string freeze until release or until the translation deadline is when there is the most activity. Because at string freeze we say now Ubuntu is ready to be translated. Just
Okay.
go for it. I mean, you can do it before, but there's no guarantee that strings won't change the original strings.
Okay.
After the string freeze is usually when people do the translations. They are usually, let me just paste it on the notes.
I think it could be useful to have, I don't know, a wiki or so, the workflow for translation, because there are a lot of teams that have some misunderstanding about how to begin and so on. And maybe some graphical workflow and to understand really with this, it's better to do in track or not, or this date is about phrase, and so it would be useful to have this kind of information, because they are not everybody in the translation team, but they are new people that doesn't know what is the best moment. And the problem with the templates, which kind of templates will be translated earlier. If it is better to wait for people of genome of the so this kind of information must be in some kind of wiki. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually something I could do. That's a good point. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense.
Should we create an action item to create this workflow?
Yeah, there is one already. Someone. Don't worry. I don't know who added it, but don't worry. I can take it myself. So
Okay.
I'll just put DPM in there. Create the workflow diagram of how translations process.
Useful.
So yeah, so I think in terms of milestones, the important ones to know are when translations are open in Launchpad, string freeze, and translation deadline. Translation deadline is the last point at which you can do translations. After that, they won't be included in the language parts. So between this time, string freeze, and the deadline, that's when there's most activity.
Okay.
So let me just write here. Perhaps something I should mention about the translations deadline, which is something that we discussed in the session today. Generally, there used to be two translation deadlines. One for packages which weren't included in language packs because of technical incompatibilities, and one for a deadline which was later on for languages that were included for translations which were included in language packs. Now we've merged them onto just one deadline right now to make it a lot easier and less confusing.
And when translation deadline happen in the cycle?
It's usually like 2 weeks before release. Let me just paste the schedule. So on the link that I've pasted from the normal schedule, from the normal release schedule, there you can see all those deadlines and milestones.
Oh, I'm just asking in general, so we can tell from this part on this, like we expect the feature freeze to be at a given time of the cycle.
Yeah. So it's generally like string freeze is like 6 weeks before release, just rule of thumb, and then translations deadline is 2 weeks before release, I think, something like that.
Can we change the link with Quentin itself, the new one, even if it's not updated?
Sorry,
Can we change the link of the path maybe Quentin?
There's no press standard.
is it already?
Yeah, it's a draft. It's still a draft, but
Yeah,
at least
sure.
we have
Yeah, sure. Of course.
There's already a draft for Kit, for.
Yeah, that's what Milo was saying.
Yeah.
Does this answer the questions?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other things that you'd like to discuss that you think that are important for the translations community? Things that work well in your team, or things or questions that you might have. Just feel free.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About the post-release update of the language pack.
Yeah.
When the test language pack update, so it might be useful if we can see the exact changes from the last language pack.
Right. Yeah.
How can I see the only diff of the
Right.
table?
You can actually do it, but it involves quite a lot of work. You can actually do it already, but
Yeah.
it takes quite a lot of work. It's really difficult to do because you can just compare the two language packs, but that means that you will have to download the language packs and do a diff yourself. There is no way to do this automatically from
There's no
launch
script
pad.
for it.
Sorry?
There's no script for it.
Exactly. So
It is possible to have a diff
Why would you want this?
about all the package?
Is that
This
useful
was-
for what is that?
It is possible, but you have to do it manually.
Yeah, okay, I know, but it's possible technically.
yeah.
I want to see no
You
regression.
can download the source packages.
Download the source package.
And then
No,
the
that's
source
what I
packages
did.
contain DO files.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can
Update.
just do a diff, but it's
I
quite a lot
can
of work
verify
because
that.
they are really big.
No, I know. It's not-
Sensitive.
But do you have a process of reviewing the translation?
Yes, Launchpad. Launchpad has included review mode. So people who are basically approved or are administrating the translation teams.
I think it depends on the
I'm
group.
asking because,
It depends on the team, right? That's,
I don't know,
mostly-
because I'm asking because he wants to see the diff, and I want to understand why he needs the diff.
Okay.
And because if you want to check the translations after they are packaged and sent to the archive, there's something wrong while translating. So if you're not getting reviews of your translation, maybe it's an idea. So you won't need to check the diff after.
Okay. But follow this idea, if it is necessary to check the package, I think in our team, of course, every translation is checked about accuracy and so on, but I think it is important to test if all the package is okay, because I don't know, a mistake maybe, or it is possible to have some bugs in the translation that you can found before the package. So I understand this kind of issue.
Before the package. Okay, testing is important. I was just talking about reviewing the translations before they go packaged.
But in translation testing that the package is working fine, because
Oh, no, okay, but do you rely on only one person to do that, like checking all changes?
no, all the team
Actually,
could, yes.
How do you
in
do
Launch-
this check?
In Launchpad, the Spanish translators have a translator team which is leading
Yeah.
these translations. So during the translation process, there's a message that says your translations will be reviewed by this team, which is the translators team. So the translators team has complete access, so they can suggest translations and they can also accept translations. So all the people who are in this team can suggest and also accept translations for this item.
Right.
But I think you're asking more about testing the language packs, right?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah, because
yeah.
he was talking about
Yeah.
the diff between packages, and my understanding.
Even if translation is reviewed, but just I can verify that.
But the second verification, not.
We do this.
That's.
Yeah, okay,
we,
no,
we do
the-
this verification, and what we usually do is to announce when a new language pack is released, and then ask the teams to review this language pack. And the review that is not as exhaustive as in a div.
5
What
points.
we do, because this is really difficult for
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
What we do is to say, look, we cannot test everything automatically,
Yeah.
but what you can do is like visually inspect if
Yeah.
the application's translations look okay.
I think I remember there is a step-by-step test.
Yeah.
So review the menus of the main page, or so 5 points, 5 main points, core points about the translation. So, okay, not all the phrases, all the other translation, only the main translation in the front page. So it's quite important that the translation will go fine and don't break the program and so, or maybe button with bad translation. The site is longer than the button and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good translation, but it's not in the correct size, or maybe this kind of problems.
Yeah. So just some small checks that you
Yes.
can actually do,
Yeah.
because you cannot do it
Yeah,
automatically.
because it's a lot of changes left for only you to do. If we are trying to catch human error here, it's it's easy to miss when you're alone.
Every time you can find human errors in translation. Every
Yeah,
time
so
there is.
just asking people to test the new language package it might be easier to catch that problem, because you have a lot of eyes looking at the translated applications, using it, and then you click on the menu, oh, this is odd, this is wrong. Instead of you looking at the diff.
It's basically a way of making a process that's very difficult to make it a bit easier, even if it's not 100% accurate. It's the best we can do.
Well, if you want, I can guide you through the process of fetching a package from Launchpad and getting it. If you want, I can do that, but I'm just telling you it's going to be a lot of work for you to check, looking the diff, to find problems.
But I think a better option is just to check.
You don't have to see all the diff to verify that anyone, if anyone wants it, that you that completely option. Depend on the tester.
But I think there's a better option because in Launchpad you can see all translations. So if there are all translations, you can just compare them.
But you can't see in one side. You need to go to template by template.
But can you look in Launchpad only for the translations that have changed in the last day? That's what he wants.
No, it's impossible.
He wants to see what changed.
Just last year.
Oh, what you can see is the list of things that are pending review. That's one thing, but you can look only, you can go through a list of all the translations, not only what changed in the last page.
Does any of you have put a working graphics card that can be plugged onto that?
Well, let me see if I can.
You should work.
I've got an NVIDIA, and that doesn't always work. Oh,
No,
everyone.
Yeah, because I see a ThinkPad and it's Intel, it will work.
No, I couldn't choose because I got it like a special offer and it came with it.
Just let me see because I don't know if it works. I haven't tried this. First time.
Yeah, because there's something else I wanted to show you guys and see what you think about. But in the meantime, is there anything else, any other questions in the way translation teams work that you'd like to share or that you'd like to ask, or about Launchpad, things like that? Oh, one thing I should mention now that I'm thinking of Launchpad is that I mean I've been telling this like since a couple of cycles, but right now it's like a bit of a bigger change. In these roundtables, what we often have is like feature requests for Launchpad to be most useful for translators. Right now, the original Launchpad translations team basically changed, and there's no one specifically assigned to translations. So right now, we will have to do it with what we've got. I mean, bugs might still be filed, but generally, unless it's a really critical bug, they won't be fixed because the focus is not on translations right now. But I'm not just saying this is not either on bugs or anything. I mean, the Launchpad development model has been shifting quite a lot right now. So basically to say that do not expect big changes or big features to be implemented.
What's this stats page?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. And I just wanted to show it on the project.
Just give me a second, I'll try to fix this.
Don't worry.
What does it mean that Brazilian is the first one?
That you're 100% translated, basically.
But
That's not
this
true.
is a bit.
What we do on this page is, you might not be 100% translated in Launchpad, like in all of the packages in main, but what we do with these statistics is to choose the most visible packages and only show those in the statistics, and then that's the way.
How do you calculate the risk from the most visible packages? I'm really interested in that.
So there's basically with two methods. One of them is just counting the packages that are on the default installation or of the desktop installation. I mean, you know that Launchpad shows you everything that's on main, right? So for these statistics that we calculate, we just take those packages which are on the default CD for the desktop image. So that's one thing that already takes away quite a lot of craft, let's say.
Yes, cool.
Then the other thing is priorities. You know that in Launchpad you can assign priorities to to templates, right? So a while ago we went through all of the list of packages and we assigned priorities so that only the most important ones are shown on the first page. And what we did as well is that command line applications, we give them a really low priority. I think it's 100 or something like that. So on the statistics, everything that's below 100 is not counted towards the statistics. So that, like for example, apt-get, it's nice to have translated, but most users will never see the translations of apt-get, so they are not counted on the statistics. And the reason we do that is we try to give translation teams focus so that they can concentrate on the most important things. Because generally what they do is they go to Launchpad and then try to translate everything, but that's, I mean, everything is like 1,600 templates.
Yeah, this is a question that people every time ask me.
Yeah.
What should I translate first? And I say, respect Launchpad, list, and that's what most important.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're trying to do with those statistics is to narrow it down. So if you go to a team statistics page, it will show you the translations that need to be done. But Launchpad shows you everything, regardless of whether it is translated or not. These statistics show you only the things that are untranslated and the things that are in the default installation and priority over 100. So that people, instead of seeing like more than 1,000 templates, they see like 10 or 50 or whatever. And in those statistics, you can click on a package, and then it will take you to the Launchpad page, so you can do the actual translation.
This is stats page.
Yeah, exactly.
It will be useful that Launchpad show the difference between this package taking account in the statistics and not, because maybe you can focus the translator to work only in this package and not to work.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, this statistics page shouldn't exist, and this should be implemented in Launchpad. But this is basically a front end for something that we don't have resources to implement in Launchpad right now. And oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention: the data itself come from Launchpad, as in like how many translated messages there are and everything. And basically, it's a database dump on a JSON file that gets imported in this statistics.
We are all relying on users of files right now.
Yeah.
Across the
It would be nice if we could talk to the translations API. But there's no API. That's the only reason why.
Just we have a few things, but only a few things.
Yeah.
I don't know how hard would it be to implement, to expose them for the API, but it's worth having like a talk with Launchpad people. Matthew Revell and Graham Beams are around.
Yeah.
Might be nice to talk to them about it.
I do have to sync up with them at some point, because I haven't talked to Matthew since last cycle regarding Launchpad translations features. But we did have a project from a community guy who you know him, Adi Roivan. So Adi was working on implementing the actual API for reporting translations, but at some point he got busy with other things, so the API is like half implemented right now, but it never got finished.
Okay, I didn't know he got some work.
Yeah, he was doing quite a lot of some stuff. So did you mind?
Trying with Bumblebee. Just give me a second.
Oh, if you want mine to work.
I've got it right here.
Well, I clicked on Brazilian Portuguese and it.
Do you know how to set up multi-monitor? So I can set it up for you if you don't know how to.
Is this the right cable?
Yeah, we use
Oh,
the
there's.
You must change the
Just
Okay. Let me just get this
okay, that's it.
to avoid accidents.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's okay.
All right. So what you can see here is this is the calculated statistics after the method that I've just told you, like priorities and only default packages. And if you click on, let's click on something that's not finished.
No, but it's
If you click.
fixable.
Fixable, sorry.
Yes.
Can you just go to the URL at the top on the bar, yeah, and just get rid of the last forward slash. Yeah, it's a bug. Yeah,
Just
exactly.
until sets. Just until sets. Delete precise.
Please take a seat.
No.
All right, yeah, then you can just click on precise and it should work.
What's the difference?
It's back in the configuration of Apache and Django, which I haven't had the time to look at.
Okay.
It generates an extra. If there is a forward slash at the end, it generates an extra part of the URL. But yeah, it's something that. So.
Oh, this is really cool.
So perhaps actually, can you go back and click on another one that's not finished? Then we can see Chinese Chinese simplified, for example, here, because this is one that got completed like not too far ago. So what you can see here is here are the packages that need attention. These are the things that need to be translated. And what's nice about this is that, as I was saying, rather than having like 1,000 packages, then people know that, oh, we only need to translate this. Yeah.
Awesome. Is this a project in Launchpad or something?
Sorry?
The code that generates this is a project in Launchpad?
Yeah. It's a Django app, and it's got a branch in Launchpad. Or it's a project in Launchpad.
Cool.
Yeah.
How do you fetch this information?
It wasn't full, so.
How do you fetch the information? Do you screen scrape Launchpad?
No, from the JSON data. So
But where the JSON data comes from?
So every day, data is generated every day, and there's a script in Launchpad that basically dumps the database and creates the JSON file and puts it on my people canonical.com account.
Really?
And then
That's only canonical employees access.
And then this Django app fetches this JSON, puts it on its own database, and generates the statistics. Ideally, there shouldn't be any JSON export. This application should just talk to Launchpad through the API.
No, but this we are ending up by doing this because it's really slow. So you can't have dynamic reports or something because it's really slow. Takes a lot.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like to have dynamic reports. I would still, if there was an API, I would still do it like once a day or perhaps 2 or 3 times a day, something like that. It doesn't. I mean, the idea is not that it's like instant, because this doesn't have to be a replacement for Launchpad. It's basically a front end right now. And here, here what you can see at the top is how many. You can see the progress. The feedback I got from translation teams is that they really like this because they see the progress of what they are doing. Here you can see the percentage of translations, like it's nearing 100% right now. And here you can see the count of actual strings. And you see that near the end, the Chinese team did did a lot of translations. So ideally, the yellow line should go up to 100, and the blue line, which should go to 0, like 0 and translated strings.
What translation coverage means?
Sorry,
what translation coverage means? The yellow line. What does it mean?
It's the yellow line means basically this percentage, but in total. So if you go back to the previous page, so the yellow line is this percentage. So these are the statistics that are calculated from the default packages in the ISO and from the priorities. So with this, you can say like Catalan is 90% translated.
I think you mentioned that the graphics are a little bit annoying because the one line is falling down and the other is not.
I just couldn't understand
so
what it means.
it's quite.
It should do this.
Wait.
Like this.
That's true actually. Yeah.
You will assume that if you falling down the chains, you have to translate.
Yes.
Right.
Instead of strings to
Because
translate,
one line is
translate.
taking account about all the phrases.
It depends on big one packets of translation here, because if you can't be.
It's for that the lines are not
coherent. Quite a lot of the output, but it counts like as a little bit of the overall percentage of translation. So.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's something I prepared this cycle to. It was really a side project, but it seemed that people liked it, so I worked a bit more on it.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
What I've been doing for in Brazil is something like this. That you have the list of packages, and I am awaiting the importance in Launchpad.
Yeah.
And here you have some stats.
Mm-hmm.
How many packages are left for translation?
Yeah.
How 14% left, and strings that need translation, you go straight to the ones that need translation,
Yeah.
or the package, and this is where people been coming
Yeah.
to translate.
So you could actually, and you do this by screen scraping, right?
Yes.
So I mean, you could actually use the JSON file.
Yeah, that's why I was because it takes like a lot of time to run,
Yeah.
because it's screen scrape all 26, 27 pages
Yeah.
of packages. It's basically using a Zope plugin that browses the page for you and
All right.
scrapes everything. It works.
Yeah.
But it's hackish. This is that page is exactly what we do here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Without having to.
Yeah. The only thing that the stats page is lacking is like the ability to assign someone to a translation, which is perhaps something that you do here, right? If someone is doing a translation, they put their name on the wiki page, right?
Yeah, well, what we do, we use the mailing list,
Right.
and whenever someone is translating a package, it sends a message saying,
Right.
I'm working on this.
All right. Yeah.
And after a person is done, please review my translations, and people check the
All right.
translations.
So in that case, if you don't manually add anything to the wiki page, then you could use the stats page already. Yeah.
I'll do this. Cool, that's really
Yeah. So I mean, what do you guys any of you have been using this stats page? Have you found it useful?
Yes.
Yeah.
If
Any-
you knew about it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, there are a couple of bugs which haven't been like as the one with the URL, and which I need to fix, but I haven't had the chance to. And as you see right now, it's on a cloud instance somewhere, and we've got a what we call canonic stack, which is set like cloud.
Instance?
Yeah, I was trying to find the word for the whole set of cloud things, but never mind. But anyway, I mean, ideally I would like to move this to translations.ubuntu.com/stats. And that's something I will try to do next cycle. I'm not sure if I'll have time to, but in any case, even if I don't have the time, I'll keep maintaining this for next cycle, basically updating this for Q. So at the point where we're around alpha, when we open the Q translations, then I will generate the statistics for Q2.
But which machine is translations.ubuntu.com?
It's a canonical server. So
But it's
it was the idea was for it to be the translations portal, and that idea is still there, but basically I haven't had the chance to work much on it, and no one else from the community has had the chance. So it's basically right now it's like an official page which gives you some information about translations, but the idea that it should be a source of news for translations hasn't been implemented yet, so we haven't been updating it basically. But translations.ubuntu.com exists already.
okay, because if it's there, we could just move this to stats
Exactly.
and keep it pated there, because it's easier. to
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So the only reason that it's not there, it's because I haven't had the time to. But it's that's the final idea. Yeah.
Okay.
So is there anything? I mean, looking at this, is there anything that you guys might find really something that you think that could be implemented in this cycle, and that would be really useful to have for translation teams? Something that is lacking, or something that's not that right?
I would say the reviewing part,
Mm-hmm.
because not just people translating, but the reviewers need to keep up with what
Right.
needs to be reviewed.
Right.
So maybe this,
Mm-hmm.
but
Are these stats for an Eric?
Yeah, if you
Yes.
go back, if you just change the URL to Eric.
No,
Do I have
I
to
mean,
get back?
I think
Oh, no, you can just
those
change it.
stats
Oh, yeah.
are from Merrick, because in English Australia, there are like 3,000 strings remain. It says 100%.
But it's a subset of all the packages.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's a different percentage from the one you have in Launchpad.
Yeah. So basically, in
It's in the
Launchpad,
Ubuntu Weekly newsletter. So.
sorry,
It's in the weekly newsletter.
I don't know where we get it on. I
They
think
get it from-
We get it that from the script.
they get it from Launchpad.
Great.
So
So
we
Launchpad,
could,
sorry.
go ahead.
So in Launchpad you've got like all of the translations of all of the packages that are in main, and that's really overwhelming for translation teams. What we do here is to present a subset of the most visible strings.
So that's me.
Yeah, that's still in main, but like subset of main, so that people can concentrate only on the things that are most visible.
Okay, great.
Maybe we could make this clear somewhere, saying that this is a subset of packages and maybe specifying a list of packages that are being considered, so
Mhm.
people are aware that this is 100% of the image, but not 100% of everything that we have.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I do have some information about this if you scroll down, but I could think of making it more visible.
More
So
information of this.
if you click on more information on these statistics here, this explains how statistics are calculated. And it actually explains you like technically how it is calculated.
Only the applications that are included in the default whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just list these packages. Is it too hard to get?
Yeah, try to think. I mean, we do this anyway. Like, yeah, definitely. Because right now, what I've got is like a list of packages, and I'm just showing the ones for each team. I'm just showing the ones which are not 100% translated. So, yeah. But yeah. Paco, you were mentioning about the graphs that they were a bit confusing. Do you have any ideas of how they could be more useful perhaps or less confusing?
Maybe changing the...
I think the main problem is that all clients take the data from different subset of package. No?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So maybe it could be useful to use the same source of data. Because
So,
I'm not sure I can follow.
no. So
because what I'm trying is...
Yeah, it's slow.
Sorry.
It's slow for some reason. I can understand.
Is that a canonical server?
Sorry?
Is that a canonical server?
Yeah, but it's like a test server. It's like a cloud instance, so it's not.
Not really.
It's not. It's like not. In theory, it's not permanent, but.
Can you try to go forward with your application?
Just cancel the operation, press escape, and go again.
Okay.
That usually works.
Oh, come on.
Well, I think that if I understand the idea, that part of the graph that goes down was the strings that are left to translate.
Yeah.
And the other one was something...
Percentage.
Yeah, percentage, like coverage. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just still not clear to me what the yellow one is.
All right. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to try to think which way it can be better represented. But
No,
to answer the question, let me see if I can
But
make it.
the
That means that is the one figure that you would use to say how well translated Ubuntu is in Brazilian Portuguese. So that's to get that figure, I basically do the average of the percentage of each one of the templates. So if you've got I don't know, 100 templates that you're considering for these statistics, each one of them has got a coverage percentage. So I just do the average from them, and then that gives me just one figure. That's what it is. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it too well.
But the other line, the chain remaining untranslated, are taken from the same source?
Yeah. Everything is translated from is taken.
Okay.
One thing is
One is percentage, and the other is
actual number. It's an actual count. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say if you had only two templates in Ubuntu.
It's a big package. Has no. It's a percentage. It's a kind of percentage that is totally untranslated.
Mm-hmm.
It's the case of China. This one. 206 is because it's occur.
This is probably this. Look,
Yeah, okay.
look, it's like 3,000. That's the number of untranslated strings. So this coincides more or less with this. So if this goes to 0, it's probably because this has been translated completely. So this number has gone to 0.
You know, the main problem is to understand why you have more than 7,000.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Only 3.
I understand what you mean now.
Okay.
Why
this line is not
the thing that is confusing here is that you think that this line goes with this axis, but this line, the yellow line, goes with this axis. So you're starting at 80% and you're nearing 100%, and this line goes with this axis. So you start with 7,500.
Two scale in the same graph.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah, so that's the part that is confusing. Yeah, I get what you mean exactly. Yeah.
The previous one
Maybe.
shows with two plots.
Maybe.
Sorry?
I suggest you use two graphs. That
Right,
will make
yeah.
it like 3,000 euros.
Okay,
Will make a
maybe.
mistake that way.
So I'll look at it in the scale or
Mm.
something, so I know what.
It's not like you have to do it manually, right? So
No, yeah.
yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit annoying.
Now I see.
You must understand,
Hmm.
maybe changing.
No, but that's good to know, because I mean, I heard some feedback, but people were getting this confused, but I didn't realize that it was that.
Brazilian Portuguese and Spanish, because maybe it's the same graph at the some percent, 100%.
Yeah, those will be like nearly static because they've been So it's been nearly 100% all of the time. And at this point you had everything translated, and here there was a like string freeze break in which a developer added new strings, so it went up.
Yeah.
And then the Brazilian team realized there was something to translate, and then they translated it, and they went back to 0 untranslated. So you can see the activity of the team. You can see what the team
You
is
did a really
doing.
good job there.
Yeah.
Cool. This is really cool.
And Brazil always appears in our top 5 translations for
A big work in
so
this
you did a
week.
great job.
Yeah, definitely.
We tried.
Okay. Well, would anyone be interested in helping in this? Excellent.
Well, I assume this is Python.
It's Django in Python, yeah. Django, PostgreSQL, and Python.
I have a lot of.
Yeah, I know you have more experience than I do.
No, that's not what I mean. May I upload it?
All right.